So, welcome to this revision video on germination and growth. So, we're going to start by talking about germination. Okay, so what is germination? If we put it simply, it's literally just when a seed starts to grow. Okay, so you can see that in the images to the side. Okay, so there are some stages to it. So, to begin with, the seed absorbs water. Okay, this allows the embryo in the cell to swell up and start cell division. Then the root's going to emerge. So you can see that in that top picture there, the root beginning to emerge from the bottom of the seed. Following that, the shoot starts to emerge from the top. So that's that green part in the image below. Finally, the first leaves are going to open up above the soil. Okay, so in a nutshell, that is what happens in germination. In order for germination to occur, some resources are required. So we've spoke about water already. So the cells in the embryo start to swell, as I've said, and that starts cell division. It also softens the seed coat, so the outside of the seed. That allows the embryo to grow through it. Okay, so if it's really solid, that's going to be very difficult, but the water softens this and makes it easier. It also allows for enzymes. Okay, so these substances are able to break down the food store. And this food store is then turned into smaller molecules, such as glucose, which the plant is going to use in order to grow. Energy is also required, okay, and this comes from respiration. Now we can remember that respiration is glucose plus oxygen makes carbon dioxide and water. Okay, and in this process, oxygen is used to release this energy from glucose, and therefore allowing that energy to be used by the plant for growth. Finally, resources include warmth as well. So warmth is really important for chemical reactions to occur. So if the germinating seed doesn't have the warmth, then the reactions, for example, we spoke about respiration, is going to happen too slowly for it to occur. Okay, so the warmth provides the energy needed for those reactions to occur at an optimum rate, at the best rate possible for that germinating seed. Some seeds are dormant, okay? So if we are talking about a dormant seed, you can kind of think of it as the seed's kind of asleep. It's still alive, but it's not kind of actively carrying out these processes. Okay, so in these seeds, the life processes are still occurring, but they're really slow. And most seeds will remain dormant until the resources that we've just spoke about are available. Okay, so they've got the best chance of survival. Sometimes the seeds are frozen, so before they reach germination stage, and that means that they only germinate after winter, okay, when more resources are available. So if you think about winter compared to spring, we're going to have more water from the rain, we're going to have more warmth, so those resources for germination are going to be available. So what happens after germination then? So photosynthesis is going to happen, okay, and this is how plants continue to grow. So we can summarize photosynthesis in the equation: carbon dioxide plus water makes glucose and oxygen. Okay, and the glucose is converted by the plant into starch, which creates that food store that we talked about earlier. So the plants can store that and use it for growth. We also need energy from the sun for this process to occur. Okay, so the energy is transferred in the light by the sun and trapped in what we call chloroplasts. Okay, so the chloroplasts are what make leaves green. So when the sun hits the leaves, the chloroplasts trap that energy to allow photosynthesis to occur. What else is needed? Okay, so we need some other things still. We're going to need some mineral salts. Okay, now these are compounds containing the elements nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Okay, so these are also really important as they help the plant to grow and continue on in its life cycle. So pause the video and make a list of everything a germinating seed and a seedling need. Okay, these lists are going to be a little bit different from each other. So pause the video now and complete that task. Let's think about another concept, interdependence. If we break this down, the word inter means between, among, or together, and the word dependence means relying on. Okay, so we can describe plants and animals as interdependent, so relying on each other for whatever it might be. So if we think of some examples, plants may depend on each other in different ways. So plants depend on insects for pollination. Okay, so that's really important, but equally the insects depend on plants for food, for example, nectar. Okay. If we move away from plants and think about humans, humans depend on insects and plants for seeds and fruit because, for example, plants don't form seeds and fruits for us that we can eat unless they are pollinated. So we need those insects for that. Animals also rely on plants for shelter. So some little animals use plants for that, and that's also interdependence. And we can say that seeds rely on animals for dispersion and mineral salts. So when an animal eats a seed and then excretes it, so poops it out, the mineral salts that can be gained from the animal's droppings are really useful for the plant. Okay, what I'd like to do is pause the video and have a go at these questions. I've got the answers on the next slide, so I'll give you an opportunity to pause this now and have a go at answering these questions. Okay, hopefully you've done that. Here are the answers to those questions, so maybe take a red pen, go through and have a little mark, see how you did on those. So in summary, you can now describe what happens in germination. You can explain why seeds and plants need certain resources. So we spoke about the ones that seedlings will need, germinating seeds and plants themselves to continue to grow through their life cycle. And you can also describe how organisms are interdependent, so how they rely on each other. Thank you very much. I hope that's been helpful.